won't get this chance ever again. Tom Lee has been talking about XRP again. Billionaires bullish on this price cycle. We are probably not going to be seeing a price pump like this for another 4 years. I will keep you guys updated on that as well. But definitely seems like a very key moment in crypto.
Really bullish on Bitcoin. I think between now and year end, I think it's still possible to be 200,000 and
Nice.
Longer term, $1 million for Bitcoin. Ethereum, I think, has more upside because and that's why we call it the biggest macro trade over the next 10, 15 years because of...
That's why XRP has an upside, like the market caps. When you think about what's easier to hit, like XRP hitting first trillion or Bitcoin hitting first 10 trillion. Much less money has to pump into XRP for it to, get into the first trillion for XRP itself. A trillion company, that's like NVIDIA, right? It's definitely possible. NVIDIA is getting lots of utility, and I feel like it's more valued right now than, of course, XRP. But XRP can definitely get to where a single company is worth, which is the most expensive company in the world right now. But maybe in a few years, maybe in 4 years.
Both Wall Street, building on the blockchain, and AI as well. I think Ethereum, between now and year end, so let's say Bitcoin is 2x upside from here. I think Ethereum is more than 2x upside from here. But
so does that mean like XRP is 5x upside?
Longer term, in the BitMine presentation, we pulled some work from Mosaics. And let's say it's 5-year view for Ethereum, it comes to around $60,000 per ETH.
There are a few people that have more experience investing into crypto assets and tech stocks than Tom Lee, and that's precisely why I am showing you guys this crucial video today. Because if Tom Lee is correct about Bitcoin eventually reaching $1 million per coin and Ethereum going to $60,000 per coin, the potential for XRP will also be in the hundreds to 1,000s of dollars per coin, and I do think that is something that a lot of you guys would probably benefit from quite a lot.
And I feel like the thing with Tom Lee is he really talks with a lot of billionaires. This is where Tom Lee has an advantage that we don't have. These billionaires, the reason why we watch this, they talk to XRP billionaires, they talk to millionaires, they talk to anyone in the banks, and they know way more, and they just share it on the public, and maybe 1,000 people watch it or 10,000 people. That's what's crazy to me. They're sharing to public what they think they will happen or the people they talked with, like things they don't want to know. Why? For fun.
And with that being said, Tom Lee does share a ton of important insights on how that will happen, how Bitcoin will potentially go to 200,000 before the end of this year, and what that will mean for XRP is what I'm going to be breaking down for you guys once he breaks apart all the macroeconomics from that. Because let's face it, Tom Lee doesn't have the time to focus on every single little cryptocurrency, but he is investing into tons of different ones. He just has to answer specific questions in the interviews that he is asked, and everyone's focused on Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. But that does not mean that you should also be focused on what everyone else is focusing on, because the true money is not made where everyone is piling their money right now, this moment, or focusing on right now in this moment. It is made by getting ahead of the curve before they start doing that to the next asset class, and I very strongly believe that to be XRP. We've seen XRP already outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum many times before, and I believe XRP is just starting in this bull run. So buckle down, get ready, listen very closely, because it might just change your life. Let's get into the video.
It's a Robinhood account or a Charles Schwab account, and they can buy a stock that owns in that company's treasury a crypto token. So
yeah, Tom Lee has been correct on a lot of stuff, especially like this market cycle. He has been calling for it before it even happened.
In other words, MicroStrategy is an example. Like when you buy MicroStrategy, you're basically buying Bitcoin. And that's because they are using all their excess liquidity to buy Bitcoin. Many people will say, Tom, why do we even need to own MicroStrategy when I can buy an ETF? Okay. The answer is really comes down to two simple things. Number one, the institutional equity world, when a fund manager is trying to outperform or find alpha, they are unlikely to be buying a Bitcoin ETF. So their only way to get exposure to Bitcoin is to buy infrastructure companies related to Bitcoin, but the simplest is buying MicroStrategy. And that's why MicroStrategy, in terms of Bitcoin held, is actually bigger than any Bitcoin ETF, I believe, or maybe they're second to BlackRock, but they're basically larger. But the second reason is that a properly run crypto treasury is growing your holdings of the crypto faster than an ETF, because an ETF by nature doesn't grow your ETF holdings, your token holdings. MicroStrategy calls it levered Bitcoin. But I'll give you an example of how their math worked. When they started their crypto treasury in August 2020, MicroStrategy had $1 worth of Bitcoin per share. The stock was $13 at the time. By the time you got to July 2027, so roughly 2025, 5 years later, they had $227 of Bitcoin held per share. So they grew it by, hundreds, multiple. The price of Bitcoin.
That's what I'm telling you. The XRP whales literally bought it at 20 cents and are now buying super big amounts, guys, still at $3. But most importantly, a lot of these whales, which have bought at 15 cents per XRP, 1 cent per XRP, have actually cashed out. Now there's a new wave of XRP whales incoming, just as I've told you guys, and they have been buying on-chain analytics. They have been buying at $3. Now, why is that? I do not know, but I will keep you guys updated on that. Smash that like button.
Bitcoin from August 2020 to July, let's say 5 years later, went from 11,000 to 118,000. So it was an 11 times return. MicroStrategy stock went from $13 to almost 400. So it went up by more than 30 times. Only 11 times was explained by the Bitcoin price increase, which means their treasury strategy, which was properly executed, had an implied benefit of a 20x on the stock price. So a really well-run crypto treasury is going to be a really high-performing stock. In fact, Michael Saylor just posted a chart, since 2020, he's outperformed every single stock of the Mag 7. He's even outperformed NVIDIA during that time frame.
Where do you see crypto in the next 6 to 12 months, looking at Bitcoin, ETH, and the rest of the market?
Yeah, so it's pretty clear right now that he's potentially indicating or at least hinting at another price hike.
I'm still really bullish on Bitcoin. I think between now and year end, I think it's still possible to be 200,000, and longer term, $1 million for Bitcoin. Ethereum, I think, has more upside because and that's why we call it the biggest macro trade over the next 10, 15 years, because of both Wall Street building on the blockchain and AI as well. So you have sort of two cohorts actually probably deciding that it's really additive, right? Remember, the financial system is half of the economy. And in the stock market, financials are trading at a lower valuation than tech. So I think financials can re-rate in that world. But Ethereum is sort of the network.
So yeah, it seems like that while tech has grown, there's going to be more of these that are going to basically double down and going to have that real price bump we've been asking for. It's very clear here that XRP is still under tap to a lot of these institutions.
Value beneficiary. So I think Ethereum between now and year end, let's say Bitcoin is 2x upside from here. I think Ethereum is more than 2x upside from here. But longer term, in the BitMine presentation, we pulled some work from Mosaics, and let's say it's 5-year view for Ethereum. It comes to around $60,000 per ETH.
Now, I don't think Ethereum 60,000 will happen. I also don't think XRP 1,000 will happen. This is just a theory, but I think $15, $20, it could be the new high for XRP.
A lot of upside in the next 5 years.
Can you say you wouldn't be surprised there's a 50-50 chance that Ethereum could flip Bitcoin
so
as network value?
That's right. So I think that there's maybe at least a 50% chance Ethereum's network value flips Bitcoin.
But RWAs, which is not getting enough credit, not getting enough discussion, isn't that how we get to 100, 200 trillion Web3 ecosystem?
My friends that are...
Guys, I want to tell you that RWAs are awesome, but they're very early. Ripple just started with them because maybe in 10 years they're going to grow in price. So just keep that in mind that they might not explode until like 10, 15 years after. So yeah, they're not going to like pump XRP anytime soon, in my opinion.
In the real estate industry, think there is a lot of value that's unlocked if you do tokenize, real estate RWA onto the blockchain, because you improve all elements of how you authenticate and actually conduct a real estate transaction to how you track and record the prices, which allows you to then create more liquidity, which, as you know, in price discovery sometimes means higher prices. And of course, you would eliminate what are today's structural imbalances in real estate prices. Yeah, it's a huge deal. But I would say one of the things is, like, to me, that's also one of the when society sees the benefits of tokenizing, right? It actually probably reduces friction. I mean, I think it's really important, whatever future that crypto is building, that they do think about wealth inequality. Not that it's a targeted thing, but it's important to make sure that we're not creating greater wealth inequality. And I think crypto is the opposite. Anybody can buy crypto, and I think that's why it's, to me, it's actually a democratizing actually wealth creation.
So yes, in summary, what we're essentially looking for are rate cuts next month in September, which is right around the corner here, of course. When that happens, basically what Tom Lee is saying is, if we get that, maybe one more rate cut in October, the end of the year, we could literally be looking at a 2x for Bitcoin, more than a 2x for Ethereum, and we all have seen what XRP has done when Bitcoin did its last 2x in price. I mean, it literally went up 5 to 6x in the same period of time. So basically, if everything happens as Tom Lee is saying, XRP has between 5 to 6x potential from today's price, which would put...
I think that's definitely possible. Like $15, $20, $25, yeah, but I don't think it's going to be happening in 2025. We have to stay realistic. I think $7, $6, $8 is possible, $10, but like $26 is going to be the price point where Ripple still needs to keep building so it can even sustain the worldwide ecosystem. That's what Ripple really needs to focus on right now, and it might take them 2 to 3 years for them to actually do this. Once they do that, wow, we could be seeing, those massive pumps we have been waiting for.
Around $15 to $18 per coin. That is something I am personally extremely excited about. And listen, along this journey from the bottom all the way to the top, I'm going to be trading XRP.
So yeah, you get a pretty clear idea of what's happening.